Ross Castle, the haunted fortress on Lough Leane. The true horror history of Ireland. On the quiet shores of Lough Leane in County Kerry, Ireland, stands Ross Castle, one of the country's most iconic medieval fortresses. During the day, thousands of visitors walk through its ancient stone halls, admire the breathtaking scenery, and learn about its rich history. Yet when darkness falls over the lake and thick mist begins to rise from the water, the castle transforms into something far more unsettling. For centuries, locals have whispered stories of ghostly riders, mysterious lights, phantom footsteps, and spirits that are said to wander the castle long after the living have gone. Whether these tales are rooted in truth or folklore, Ross Castle has earned its reputation as one of Ireland's most mysterious places. Ross Castle was built in the late 15th century by the powerful O'Donoghue Mór clan, one of the most influential Gaelic families in southwest Ireland. Constructed on the edge of Lough Leane, the fortress occupied a strategic location protected by water and surrounded by forests and mountains. The castle became a symbol of strength, wealth, and authority for generations. Within its walls, important decisions were made, alliances were formed, and battles were planned. But like many medieval strongholds, Ross Castle also witnessed betrayal, bloodshed, imprisonment, and death. The echoes of those violent centuries are believed by many to linger within its thick stone walls. The castle's isolated setting has played a significant role in shaping its eerie reputation. Even today, dense fog often rolls across Lough Leane during the early morning and late evening, surrounding the fortress in an almost supernatural atmosphere. The silence of the lake is occasionally broken by the cries of birds or the gentle movement of water against the shore. Locals have long claimed that strange sounds travel across the lake after sunset. Some describe hearing distant voices carried by the wind, while others insist they have heard the sound of horses galloping even though no riders were anywhere nearby. Such experiences have fueled ghost stories for hundreds of years. The most famous legend connected with Ross Castle is that of O'Donoghue Mór, the castle's legendary lord. According to Irish folklore, he was a wise and respected ruler who cared deeply for his people. Instead of dying like ordinary men, the story says that one beautiful spring morning he mounted his magnificent white horse, gathered his loyal followers, and rode toward the waters of Lough Leane. As the people watched in amazement, horse and riders entered the lake without sinking. Rather than disappearing beneath the surface forever, they passed into a hidden magical world beneath the water, where O'Donoghue would remain as the eternal guardian of the land he once ruled. The legend does not end there. Every 7 years, on the first morning of May, O'Donoghue is said to return to the surface of the lake. Witnesses describe seeing a noble warrior dressed in shining armor riding a brilliant white horse across the calm waters without creating a single ripple. The figure is often surrounded by an otherworldly glow before vanishing into the morning mist. Irish tradition says that anyone fortunate enough to witness this extraordinary event will receive good fortune for the rest of their lives. Although there is no historical evidence to support these claims, the legend remains one of Ireland's most enduring supernatural stories. Over the centuries, visitors and local residents have reported seeing what they believe is the ghostly horseman of Ross Castle. Some describe a transparent rider emerging from the mist near the castle before disappearing moments later. Others claim to have seen a horse standing motionless beside the lake with no rider in sight, only for both horse and apparition to fade into the darkness without leaving footprints. While skeptics argue that fog, poor visibility, and imagination explain these sightings, believers insist that O'Donoghue continues his eternal patrol around the castle and lake. Inside the castle itself, numerous unexplained experiences have been reported. Tour guides and staff have occasionally spoken about hearing heavy footsteps climbing the spiral staircases after the building has been locked for the night. Some have reported doors opening on their own despite being securely closed. Others have described hearing faint whispers echoing through empty rooms where no visitors remained. Although these events may have natural explanations associated with old stone buildings, they continue to intrigue those who work within the castle's walls. Several visitors have also claimed to encounter shadowy figures inside Ross Castle. These dark shapes are often seen standing near narrow windows or moving silently through the Great Hall before disappearing without a trace. Some tourists reviewing their photographs after returning home have discovered strange silhouettes or unexplained light formations that were not visible when the pictures were taken. Paranormal enthusiasts consider these images possible evidence of supernatural activity, while photographers often attribute them to lighting conditions and reflections. Regardless of the explanation, such stories continue to strengthen the castle's haunted reputation. The surrounding waters of Lough Leane have their own collection of mysterious legends. Fishermen have passed down stories for generations about hearing voices calling across the lake during calm nights despite seeing no boats nearby. Others describe strange glowing lights drifting silently above the water before suddenly disappearing beneath the surface. Some believe these lights represent spirits connected to the ancient Celtic world, while others claim they mark the hidden entrance to O'Donoghue's underwater kingdom. To this day, no one has been able to explain every strange sight reported on the lake. Ross Castle also played an important role during one of Ireland's most turbulent historical periods. In the 17th century, during the Cromwellian conquest of Ireland, local tradition held that the castle could never be captured unless enemy ships appeared on Lough Leane. Confident that such an attack was impossible, the defenders believed the fortress was invincible. However, government forces transported boats onto the lake and approached the castle from the water. According to legend, many defenders believed the ancient prophecy had finally come true. Their morale collapsed, and the castle eventually surrendered. Whether the prophecy truly existed remains uncertain, but the story has survived in local folklore for centuries. Some historians believe that the emotional trauma experienced during the castle's final siege contributed to its haunted reputation. Centuries of warfare, fear, imprisonment, and sudden death often inspire ghost stories, especially in places where memories are deeply woven into the landscape. Ross Castle became not only a monument to Ireland's medieval past but also a symbol of loss and resilience. Many believe the intense emotions left behind during those violent years still linger in the ancient stones. In recent decades, Ross Castle has attracted paranormal investigators from around the world. Equipped with infrared cameras, thermal imaging devices, audio recorders, and electromagnetic sensors, researchers have spent nights inside the castle searching for evidence of supernatural activity. Some teams have reported unexplained cold spots, mysterious knocking sounds, sudden battery failures, and faint whispers captured on digital recorders. Although none of these findings provide scientific proof of ghosts, they continue to fascinate believers and skeptics alike. Visitors frequently share personal experiences that add to the mystery. Some describe an overwhelming sensation of being watched while climbing the narrow staircases. Others suddenly feel a freezing cold breeze in rooms with no open windows. A few claim they sensed someone standing beside them despite being completely alone. These experiences cannot be independently verified, yet they have become part of the living folklore surrounding Ross Castle. Historians remind us that Ross Castle is first and foremost an extraordinary example of medieval Irish architecture and an important part of Ireland's cultural heritage. The documented history of the O'Donoghue family, the castle's role in regional conflicts, and its survival through centuries of political upheaval are remarkable on their own. Yet Ireland has always been a land where history and legend exist side by side. Stories passed from generation to generation often become inseparable from the places themselves, creating traditions that endure long after historical records end. As night settles over Lough Leane and the castle's silhouette reflects upon the still waters, it is easy to understand why Ross Castle continues to inspire fear and fascination. Perhaps the ghostly horseman is nothing more than a beautiful legend. Perhaps the whispers carried by the wind are only echoes across the lake. Or perhaps some mysteries are meant to remain unsolved. Whatever the truth may be, Ross Castle stands as one of Ireland's most haunting landmarks, a place where history, folklore, and the unknown continue to meet beneath the shadows of its ancient stone walls.